Today we're going to look at 10 cars that I think are super underrated for under £10,000. That is some great value for money for some pretty unique cars. Let's get straight into it. Do hit like if you enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe as well if you're one of the 72% of people who haven't subscribed watching this right now. Let's check out these cars. Let's kick off with the third generation Suzuki Jimny, which actually arrived all the way back in 1998 and ran through to 2022 in some markets. The Jimny has been a staple of the 4x4 world since its arrival back in 1970 as an entrance into Japan's popular K-Class. Strange to have an SUV-style K-car with the idea of that whole class being minuscule dimensions, but that strangeness has gained the car a bit of a cult following. Where the 4th gen is well sought after though, with higher prices, these 3rd gens remain pretty cheap in comparison, and with their most recent facelift, the JB43, they look actually pretty modern too, and I think are a bit underrated. These aren't particularly quick cars, of course, with their 1.3 litre inline 4 blocks making just 83 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 13.6 seconds. They'll run you around £6,500 the bottom end, and 10k will get you a 2013 example that's done around 35,000 miles. Rust is known on these, and earlier 1.3 litre engines were known to have timing belt issues too. These have also been known to have issues selecting all-wheel drive as well. I love the Brabus Roadster. I think it's one of the coolest and most unique cars on the market. The Smart Roadster in and of itself was a nice little car, something a little bit more stylish while still being super small and ready to take on city driving. Practical for getting around as opposed to carrying luggage. Add that Brabus badge on and you have something seriously cool. Stiffer suspension, some more aggressive looks, some great noise from that central exit exhaust, and some other flary bits like the alloys and parts of the interior. These come with the smallest engine on the list, a 0.7 litre turbocharged inline-3 block, making 101 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 9.5 seconds, which is actually pretty decent out of such a tiny powertrain. £6,500 the lowest I could find these for, and 10k will get you a 2006 model with 60k on it. These super cool alloys are known to have rust issues and can crack too, and electrical gremlins seem to be one of the key issues owners face. But the main thing that's discussed on owners' forums is the slow gearbox, which is a pretty touchy topic. Next up we have the Hyundai Veloster, a car that we don't really see too often here in the UK, but one that has some seriously good looks and, like the Brabus, is pretty unique. You can get these with both a 6-speed manual or 7-speed dual clutch transmission with paddle shifters, which is quite sporty, reflecting the looks. If you get a sport model, you also get a panoramic sunroof, 18-inch alloys, and a nice full leather interior too. All of this is sounding pretty premium for a little old Kia. And in turbo spec, they get even better with slightly modified body panels, including a larger grille, plus some other novelties like a push-button start. They get a 1.6 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 184 brake horsepower and gets them to 60 in 8.1 seconds, which isn't quick, but they have pretty decent torque through the range and around 40 miles per gallon fuel economy figures being a diesel. They start at around 5k, and double that will get a 2012 model with around 40,000 miles on the clock. Owners mention excessive oil consumption, fuel pump failures, valve cover leaks, and clogged catalytic converters. The Fiat 124 Spider arrived back in 2016 as a collaboration between Fiat and Mazda, which was originally supposed to be with Alfa Romeo, but Alfa committed to exclusively producing cars in Italy, and some people have actually named the 124 among the best MX-5s ever. That's high praise given the MX-5 takes weight distribution, simplicity, handling, and driver enjoyment very seriously. It was based on the ND MX-5 and was manufactured alongside it in Mazda's Hiroshima plant, literally sharing the same platform, mechanicals, interior, and roof mechanism, the only real difference being the looks and the engine. It's a pretty typical engine you'll find in many Fiats and Abarths, a 1.4 litre turbocharged inline-4 block makes 138 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 7.3 seconds, pretty comparable to the MX-5. £6,500 is the lowest that I could find these listed for, which I think is quite surprising, and 10k will get a 2018 example that's done around 70,000 miles. Oil leaks and synchro issues are known, particularly with second gear, and some owners have mentioned that the infotainment can get quite glitchy at times, as well as the folding roof. The Porsche Boxster 986 might be the most controversial addition to this list, given a lot of people do like it, but on release it was often disregarded by Porsche purists as the poor man's 911, and it happened to arrive with headlights that the purists would also proceed to dislike on both the 996, 911 and this, and it ended up having a pretty checkered reliability record too. But if you've ever had the chance to be in one, then you'll know they handle magnificently, sound unbelievably good, and bring you the joy that a Porsche is supposed to, even if they are getting on a bit, and the fact that they're so cheap only makes them even better value. This classic Porsche comes with a 2.7 litre flat 6 block in its later facelifts, putting out 220 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.4 seconds. This is actually the cheapest car on the list, starting at around £3,000, with 10k getting you a 2004 model with around 50,000 miles on the clock. This engine actually is one of the more reliable you'll find in these 986s, but they aren't completely free from IMS and RMS failures and bore scoring issues. So I hope you guys guys enjoying this video? If you are, then do hit like and subscribe. As I mentioned, 1,000 likes, do the same video again at under £5,000 instead. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the most underrated car ever? The Vauxhall Monaro, known as the Holden Monaro in its home market of Australia, is one of the closest things we can get to a V8 supercar in the UK, and was one of the first real cars indicating Vauxhall were keen to make aggressive cars in the 2000s. This is actually the third generation Monaro, and it's pretty rare in the UK, arriving after 25 years of the Monaro badge disappearing. These come with the biggest engine on the list, a 5.7 litre V8 block that makes 328 brake horsepower, taking him to 60 in 6 seconds, with a pretty thunderous noise too. I love the simple styling that's reminiscent of a curvier muscle car, and the fact you can get a 6-speed manual attached to that V8 block. 9k is the minimum that I can find these listed for, so for a 10k we'll be looking at a 2005 model with 85,000 miles on it. Owners seem to note that the engine is actually pretty reliable. Instead, it's the belts and coolant hoses that can go, as well as plastic shrouds over the fuel lines. The LSD can also be quite noisy, and rust around the front chassis rails can rear its ugly head. The Peugeot RCZ was never actually meant to exist. It was just a concept by Peugeot, a brand that had once been at the forefront of building iconic cars like the 205 GTI and the likes, but had in the last 10 years been making some pretty boring stuff. The reaction to it was so positive that they ended up bringing it into production, and the RCZ-R is the most aggressive version, with an interior you won't find on any other Peugeots, styling's completely dissimilar to any other Peugeot, and handling dynamics that were known to be akin to a hot hatch. These come with quite a hot hatchy engine too, a 1.6 litre turbocharged inline-4, making 266 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 5.7 seconds, and having driven the 308 GTI, I can tell you firsthand that this block feels ideal for bashing around B-roads. It's the most expensive car on the list though, starting at our 10k limit, and for that kind of money you'll get a 2015 example with 60,000 miles on the clock. Electrical faults, suspension wear, and some less common issues with the engine are known with these, and the build quality has also often been in question. I've said it a million times before, and I'll probably say it a million times more. The Lexus GS450h is one of the most underrated saloons money can buy. It's a luxury executive car that offers an insane breadth of technology, mostly focused on making the driver as comfortable as possible, and it's also pretty quick. This fourth generation arrived back in 2012 with the updated, more angular Lexus stylings, and features that more than rivaled competitors from BMW, Audi and Mercedes at the time, like the S-Flow control, which sends air from the aircon exclusively to where people are sitting, meaning more comfort and better fuel efficiency. This is the only hybrid on the list, combining electric power with that 3.5 litre V6 block, producing 340 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.7 seconds, with a bunch more luxury than the rest of the cars on the list. £8,500 a minute I can find these listed for, and for £10,000 you'll get a 2012 model with high mileage. These have generally been pretty good on reliability, but there have been some suspension and exhaust issues. The main thing to watch for on these is the expensive battery replacement. When the Subaru Impreza hatchback arrived for the World Rally Championship, I'll be honest, it was nothing special, managing 2 podiums throughout the 2008 season before the company quit rallying altogether due to a lack of cash. That probably didn't help the WRX STI Type UK that was built for the roads, but that's also probably where they were better placed, as a hot hatch that punches well above its weight. It's not got the brand's most reliable engine, a 2.5 litre turbocharged Boxster 4 that makes 295 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5 seconds, and the fact you can get a 5-second hot hatch within this price range is a key reason why I think it's pretty underrated. It also looks rally inspired both outside and in, and it will probably continue to be the cheapest Impreza WRX STI that money can buy. You need to spend around £8,000 at the bottom end to get into one, and 10k will get you a 2009 model that's done around 90,000 miles. I mentioned that engine isn't so great for reliability. Ringland failure, head gasket failure, rod bearings failure, and turbo failures are all known. The Maserati Coupe is the predecessor to the Gran Turismo, which is also a pretty cheap exotic sports car, but as an older Maserati, it suffers from Maserati's less than ideal reliability record. One majorly underrated feature of this car though is that Ferrari-derived engine, a 4.2 litre V8 block, makes 390 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.8 seconds. You'll also find the Ferrari F430, California and 458 in different guises. Another underrated feature is the fact that it was designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro at Italdesign, one of the most well-respected designers in the industry, hence it looks so good. And one final feature I wanted to mention is the fact that despite being a 2+2, actual adults can comfortably fit in the rear, which can't really be said for many other similar cars. These start at around £9,000, and £10,000 will get your 2003 example that's got around 95,000 miles on the clock. They're known to have clutch wear issues, electrical problems and gearbox complications too, with jerky gear changes. They can also be a bit more expensive to sort than a lot of other cars on this list. So that was 10 underrated cars for under 10k. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then do hit like and subscribe. Thanks to patrons, thanks to you guys for watching, and click on screen to see some more underrated cars.